Everybody, it is Romania Black, and I'm not gonna lie, I might have been holding off on watching this movie until I had my cross no shirt come in. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you may be wondering, Romania Black, Haikyuu. Well, let me tell you, my history with Haikyuu is not a long history, but it predates this channel. So, I started this channel in 2020, right during the pandemic. And right at the start of the pandemic, when everybody was shut down and we were stuck in our homes, I was like, I need something to watch. And so I was starting to get back into anime and manga since my college days. And I was like, what am I gonna do? And I saw that Haikyuu was on, and I was like, this seems fun. So I watched the first season, and then I immediately binged the second season. And because the third season wasn't on streaming, I went out and bought the third season, had it delivered to my house, and I binged through it. And then that wasn't enough. And so I was obsessed and decided to start reading the manga. And then I got into the manga, and I got to follow the manga, which was such an amazing experience up until the last chapter coming out. And it's honestly, with the exception of Bleach, it's the first manga that I've been able to follow from start to its ending in real time, which is so crazy. And it was such a great experience. If you know any Haikyuu fan that's read the manga, they will tell you about the ending and everything, but we're not going to spoil that here today. So I've been pretty obsessed with Haikyuu since before this channel even started. I have playing cards, I have Uno cards, I have some of the manga, I have this. You all can't see it, but 3 different iterations of Oikawa sit under my computer screen at all times because Oikawa is my favorite. I love Haikyuu so much. And so I have been excited. I was excited for season 4. I was able to react to the second half of season 4 and all of its pandemic woes. But I was really excited because for me, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, the stuff that comes after this movie is my favorite in the whole series. So I'm really excited for it. But as many of you have probably seen on social media or have vocalized, there's a lot of controversy about Haikyuu right now. So I was kind of afraid of this movie. I was like, I've had a very interesting time grappling with myself. Do I support it? Am I frustrated by it? And I think it's a matter of both. Obviously, I want to support Furodate because they are such an amazing mangaka. They're so great. Haikyuu borrows a lot from Slam Dunk, which I read when I started the channel and watched some of the anime for. But it definitely makes it its own. It uses Slam Dunk kind of as the foundation for some storylines. And then Furodate, I think Haikyuu is so popular because it kind of gives you this plethora of characters that it does delve into to a little extent. It gives you a little bit with each character. Now, Shoyo, obviously, Hinata, goes into more extent with him and Kageyama and Krasno, but it gives you this plethora of characters that everyone can kind of find which character they like best. And it doesn't give you too much about the characterization. It gives you just enough that the fandom can kind of latch onto them, take off with them, and do what they will. And that's very smart on the mangaka's point. And I think that the mangaka seems to have kind of embraced how the fandom have grabbed these characters, literally grabbed them and ran off with them, which is really, really awesome. But I've had a lot of trepidation about this because I've done some math. We'll talk about the second part of this math at the end of the reaction, but I'm going to talk about the first part of it with you. Because as a manga reader, this numbers matter. So season 1 of Haikyuu was 25 episodes. It covered chapters 1 through 71. So about 71 chapters of content in one season, which is a lot. Chapter 2 covered even more. Season 2 covered even more, with 25 episodes covering 77 episodes. And I was like, okay, that's a bit more, but all right. And then season 3 was only 10 episodes, but it was an arc that only needed 10 episodes. It was basically chapters 150 to 207. So it was 42 episodes, 42 chapters in 10 episodes. So that made sense. I was like, you're just covering that one match, that one arc. Don't be excess with it. Fine. Perfect. And that season 3 is such a good season. It's probably, I would say the latter half of season 2 is one of my favorites, but season 3 as a whole, it's a great match. Then you had an OVA that came out that covered 15 chapters in the span of about 40 minutes. It was like a 2-part OVA, covered the specific match that comes right after season 3. Perfect. The one that got people a little bit nervous was season 4. And it was not just the fact that it was being produced during the pandemic. So there was a lot of outsourcing of the animation. There was a style change. If you've read the manga, you will notice that Furodate, as the series goes on, does change their style, and it does change quite drastically from start to finish. It's not one of those like subtle evolutions. No, Furudate's like gets a whole new style about a third into it, and you're like, oh, okay, we're gonna do this now. But I ended up really liking it. But Furudate changes up their style, sticks to their guns, and season 4 was kind of implementing that new style. And a lot of people had issues with that. I thought it was cool. I liked it. But the big thing, regardless of the pandemic animation crisis that was happening at the time, was the fact of the pacing of the season. It was 25 episodes, like season 1 and like season 2, but it was covering 85 chapters. And 85 chapters in 25 episodes, literally being 8 chapters more than season 2 and over 10 chapters more than season 1. There were a lot of storylines that were either cut or completely left out or altered. And that made some fans mad because you expect, and there's some moments in this series you want to see animated perfectly, and it felt like it wasn't given its due justice. So make with that what you will. Maybe the animation studio only had 25 episodes to work with, and that's the choice that they had. I can be a little bit more forgiving because those matches, if you only have 25 episodes to work with and there's no other way to go around it, fine. You've got to make some edits. That's okay. But here's the thing. This movie is covering 31 chapters 293 to 324, which is the entire match. It's covering nearly the amount that 10 episodes covered in an hour and a half, in half the time. So obviously I was a little bit concerned about that. And the rest of the math we'll talk about after this movie, after I've seen it in full and seen what it does. Do I know that they're going to cut stuff out of the manga? Oh yeah, they're going to have to. They're not going to be able in an hour and a half to get through 31 chapters of content without cutting some things. Is it going to be things that I notice? We'll see. And I want to talk about that after the reaction. But I'm going to be honest. I wanted to give this movie a chance. I was very bitter when they announced what they were planning to do with the rest of the series because I had all the math figured out. I'm like, oh, here's what they can do for the rest of the series and it'll make perfect sense. And then the studios were like, no. So I was feeling very, very trepidatious about coming into this reaction because one, I want to support Furudate and watch Haikyuu, and I'm genuinely excited to see this movie. But on the other hand, I'm like, is my support just giving studios more validation to, instead of putting in the time and effort and work to make a legit season, just slap on a movie and call it done? And I know some people are going to be like, well, the movie lets them have more time for the details and stuff like that. And I'm like, but it's also kind of expediting their workforce. And Japan has a large problem with expediting their workforce and also treating their animators like shit, depending on the studio. So there are some really good animation studios that treat their workers very well, but then there are a lot of studios that I just kind of bat my eyelashes at and go, you guys are not being kind to the people making you money. So I felt kind of torn. I'm like, do I support this movie and what it represents? Or do I give homage and support for Furudate because I value them as an author? And it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I wanted to watch this movie out of curiosity and see what my thoughts were. So I'm going to put my bias aside for now. And I just want to get that out of the way and then dive into this movie and enjoy it for what it is, and then come back and talk to you about it and talk to you about the rest of the math and what we think is going to happen post this and have a discussion about it. But I love our Crow Boys so much. The great thing about Haikyuu is that you want to root for every team, whether it's Jozenji or whether it's Datako or whether it's Shiratorizawa. You just want to root for everybody. And so it's just like a big celebration, which is kind of for Date's message, is that volleyball is a celebration. I have family that play volleyball. I have some cousins that live a few hours from me, and they've played volleyball. One sister was a setter. The other sister was a libero. I'm like, oh, and so anytime, of course, I get to flaunt my knowledge through Haikyuu now and be like, oh, what position do you play? And they're like, setter, libero. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's really great. And honestly, now knowing the sisters, one's a libero and one's a setter, and knowing their personalities, I'm like, I can see it. So I'm super excited, y'all. I hope you all are as well, but we're going to dive into this. Obviously, I'm going to be using, there'll be a PIP reaction down below, but obviously I'm going to be using the headphones for this because I know how this song and dance goes with copyright, and we're not going to take any chances. So I'm super excited, y'all. I hope you all are as well. But I've got my coffee poured. I'm ready to go. Let's grab this victory and see what the dumpster battle is, shall we? We're going to start Haikyuu, the dumpster battle movie. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And let's do this. It's so long since I've watched anything with Haikyuu. I am genuinely excited. And it's a movie, so get me the movie stakes. Shueisha, give us some sound. And Studio IG. There we go. I was like, it was so quiet. I was like, are we going to actually have sound? Gotta start out. Yeah, the crows. We're gonna have the cat on the trash can. Oh, there's the calico. Kinma coated. Oh no! What will we do? Yeah. Oh, this is when he first met Hinata. Yes, when they first met. Back at the OG training camp. Mentos, the fresh maker. Like, Kim was getting his sponsorship on early on. I'm going to have to try to not spoil for the stuff after this match. That's going to be the hard part. Look at him, our little sunshine boy. Don't pick up that feather. I love the voice actor for Hinata. They're so great. Also, isn't Yukikaji Kinma? I feel like Yukikaji is Kinma, which is such a wild thing to me. Oh. Kinma is such a different character than Yukikachi has ever played, especially for sports anime. If you know, you know. I love it, though. I love the range. Oh, look at him! Aw, Kuro. Meh. Also, now that I'm watching Blue Lock, the Kinma and parallels with another gaming character are kind of there. Shoyo is so disappointed that you don't like volleyball. Shoyo's like, you don't like volleyball? I feel like Shoyo and Haiji from Run with the Wind would get along swimmingly. And the cat and the crow. Oh, look at all that hair. The last one to wake up. Ah! Oh my god, the yelling. All of the exclamation points. The bedhead. I love it. Chibi-chan. Yeah. And isn't this Gojo's voice actor too for Kuro? I love it. The Jaybird Inn. Yeah. Ah! Oh, well. Kageyama. I don't know. Kinma does like winning. He, you know, you might be surprised by that. Kageyama's like, wait, what? Uh-huh. Bombastic music. I'm sure if somebody came to watch this movie and didn't get the metaphor of the dumpster battle, they'd be like, wait, what? Why is it called this? It's one of those things you kind of have to watch the first 2 seasons and read the manga to understand. Oh. Hmm. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah! Hey! Get us that Bokudo in them. Yes. Uh-huh. Oh. I was gonna be like, that's Kamiya. Yeah. It's so weird. I didn't realize it was Kamiya when I first watched the show. How bizarre that it's Kamiya. Again, the range. Daichi's like, I could say so much. Ah! Ah! The ref's like, really? Oh, I love them. And they were from the OVA. From the Snake team. I love them as a couple. It's so cute. Let's get down to business. To defeat the crows. Uh-huh. And the sisters. Tanaka's sister alongside, oh! It's not Lev's sisters up in the stands. Yeah, you can see her up there. Aww. Oh my god, and the fact that it's Sawamura's voice actor as Akashi, oh my god. Insane. I can hear it now. Curse you, locals! Oh, Yaku, my sweet. You all say that. Gotta make that contrast, right? Yeah. I can maybe now see why they got Yuki Kaji to play Kenma. Oh! Ah! I'm just like, okay, fine, guys. Kuro is such a dork, and I love it. Our little science dork. Yes! And now the commentators for every sports anime. Ah! Oh, Hanada. Such a lawful man, isn't he? Oh, Asahi! The heart of the team, Tanaka! Yes. Kageyama, who's seeming so much more chill than usual. So fired up, Shoyo. Suki! Mm-hmm. Oh, Nishinoya. And Ukai. Uh-huh. Mm. Oh. Oh. Yeah, he does. Kuro! I forgot some of Nekoma's players. Kai. Okay, Yamamoto. His sister's the one with the redhead pigtails. Yes. Me! Shut up, Tora! Yes, our comedian. There he be, Fukunaga. Lev. Oh my god. What a beast. And Yaku. I'm such a Yaku Lev shipper. I love them. Uh-huh. Ah. Aw. I want to throw everybody off. Yep. Yep. And my blood's there. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yeah! Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh. Oh. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. It definitely has the new style from season 4. Yeah. Oh. Nice, Lev. I'll be honest with you. I have forgotten a lot about this match, but I only remember like a few key things that I'm excited to see for sure. There's some of those iconic. Oh yeah, the fake. There's some of those. Some of those iconic moments from Haikyuu that you're like, you can't wait to see. Oh, okay. Daichi, don't die again. Uh-huh. Oh, we know. That's not a practice game. That's a do or die game. Yes. Yes. Where it's game over if you lose. That's season 2, isn't it? The foreshadowing. Oh. 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 Got distracted. Mmm. Oh, Kuro. Ah! Yes! That look, that cat look. Mm-hmm. Kenma, you're so interesting, Shoyo. Never stop being interesting. Ah. Mmm. And then watching the game against Inarizaki. I don't know if I could understand how the match would go between Inarizaki and Nekama. It would be really hard. I feel like Nekama would lose against Inarizaki, if I'm being honest. I don't know. I mean, Nekama's a pretty all-rounded team, but Inarizaki has some fierce competitive elements that kind of push to the extreme, like with the twins. So I feel like while Nekama is an all-rounder team, I don't know if they could match up to Inarizaki. That would be really hard. Although seeing Atsumu versus Kenma would be really interesting. We are obligated to go back to Bokuto at least once every 5 minutes. That's how this has to go. Lev's sister's also beautiful, by the way. Oh. I love the megaphone. Ah! You bastard. Oh, Kageya's little badger face. Yeah. Right. Uh-huh. Yes. Oh! Oh, look, it's Gojo and Mahito. Oh my god, the hands! Ah! I love that Bokuto and Kuro have like co-parented Tsukishima. They've both adopted him. Oh, Lev, you got lucky. Oh, Lev! You will be punished later. Oh. Yeah! Oh! Ooh. That's right. I love that he says you. It's like pointing him out. Thule bros. Yes. Oh, that seems like so long ago, doesn't it? Yes. I feel like in this match, it is definitely two teams on par with one another that are kind of like both offensive teams, but kind of all-rounders in a way. They're not extreme, either one. Unless you count Shoyo, but, you know. Oh! I love the megaphone. Nope. They are adapters, if anything. Oh, Kim, Ah! Suga! Suga-chan, yes! Oh, he's Mr. Refreshing. What are you talking about? Ah! Tsukishima's like, I'm not getting fired up. Ooh. Oh. Oh. Oh, Tsukishima and Yamaguchi. I can ship either way. I love Kinba and Kuro. I can ship Tsukishima and Kuro, but I love Yamaguchi and Tsuchi. Suki and Yamaguchi. There can't be anybody else for them. Yeah. Ah! Huh. The brother, yeah. Is he your son now? Oh, Yamaguchi, sweetheart. How far you've come. Oh. I love Tsukishima and how much he's grown to be like, to recognize that it's not just him on the line. He has people behind him that can help. Mr. Jesta Club. Oh. Yeah. Oh, that's a good shot between the two of them. Our Suki! Our Suki! He's like, not our team, Akashi, our son. We've been co-parenting him since the beginning. Oh, that's so sweet. Kimma, well. Ah! Aww. Oh my god. The ref, like, really? The pun? Hmm. Ah! I love it. Yes. This game does go by pretty quickly in the manga. Oh. Oh. Uh. Oh, 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 oh! Nice. Nice, Asahi! Oh, there we go. There's our Kageyama. There he is. He's been so quiet so far. Hmm. All right. Right. Stop comparing. Okay, ma'am. Hmm. I always felt like this game, because they're so evenly matched in terms of their skill sets and their investment in this. Oh, oh, oh. I always felt like this was more of a celebration match between these two teams, and that it's so personal that you could say it takes some of the stakes out of it, but in another sense, you could say that it also, since it's so personal, has more meaning. So it felt less like a do or die match and more of like a celebration of coming together. And if you know the foreshadowing, it's like, we know how this match is going to go, but it's just enjoying the ride while it's on the path, right? Because, I mean, do we really think Crossno's not going to go further after this? After beating Inarizaki? But we have to do this match because we've been foreshadowing it since the beginning. And the stakes are there. And yeah, Kinma's like, oh, Kuro will probably stick around. I love how cat-like Kinma is, though. He just wants to rip the feathers off. Daisho! Ah. Mm. Oh no. Yeah. I mean, Kinma's been analyzing everybody the whole time. They start out there. They are growers, not showers, right? And Crossno is like a stick of dynamite, literally. Crossno comes out strong. But if another team catches up, then... Oh, Lev. Yeah, Lev's not technical at all. Oh. Kuro's like, I know, but... Oh. Uh-huh. Wow. Nice. Ah! Ha! I am alive. Ah! That's great. Ah! Oh. Hmm. Like the ominous shadowing. Love it. Oh, Shoyo. Yes. Aww. He's like, look how good I received. Yes. Okay. We're about to finish one set, aren't we? Uh-huh. Oh, Lev! Oh. I love that. I love when Kuro says that. Right. Oh, oh, Lev. Oh, or no, Yaku. Oh. 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 Okay. Oh. Oh, wow. Hmm. Okay. All right. Well, you knew it had to happen. Oh, I almost thought that Yaku missed it. Suga is losing his mind in this game. Oh. Uh-huh. I always love the violin OST for Haikyuu. It's so good. Oh. Oh. I love the oh. Uh. Mmm. Oh. I wish we could have. One thing I'm going to probably talk about in the discussion is they're moving so fast through all this to get this done in an hour 30 that there's a lot of moments in the manga that had a lot of focus and you got to really let the moment sink in. There's no time to do that. Like, I just missed that entire moment because the show is just like, we have to keep moving. So you don't get time to really let this soak in and feel the moments like you do in the anime. And a lot of people could say, well, they milk the moments in the anime, but it's all about the feeling and the emotion. And here they're like, oh, we have to just hurry up and get through the game. That, like, the moment with Suki talking about, like, loving volleyball and, like, all that. Those moments are so pivotal in the manga. And here they're just glossing over them and hurrying through them as fast as they can because we have to get to the climax. Ah! Suki with the wig. Shut up, Kuro! Shut up, Kuro! How dare you? How dare you? But anyway, we'll talk more about it in the discussion. Well, everybody except Kuro. I'm joking. Oh. 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 Kuro being like, Kuro's like, you have no idea how I feel in this moment. Kuro, sweetheart. And show you soon? Oh. Shoyu has that effect on people. It's just, you know, has that effect. Oh yeah, he's like, oh, thanks, other libero. Uh. Oh. Yep. Mm-hmm. He's on it today. All right. Oh. Or Shoyo's like, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. Ah! Well, when you're Kageyama, you gotta use Shoyo. Oh, mm-hmm. No, your serve was fine. Uh, See, that needed to be slowed down, and we needed to have more of a moment with that. And that was just like, let's hurry up through that manga moment. Iconic moment, done, gone. That would have been focused on so much more and given more attention to. And I don't want to be critical of the movie, but when you're a manga reader and you've looked forward to these moments getting highlighted and they just run through them out of obligation, it's kind of annoying. Also, show you look like he's been crying in that moment from his face being red. You're just now saying that? You're just now saying that? And see, this moment here, they're just rushing through Yachi and her eyes being red and everything. They're rushing through her talking with Bokuto and them. Like, that was a whole thing in the manga, and they just, like, get it done 10 seconds. Tendo! Yeah! And Goshiki. Because he wants to be there with you. Ooh. Ah. Tendo would probably not like being up against Kenma. Ah! My Taurus King. Oh. I love Tendo. Uh-huh. Oh. Cats versus birds. Yes. Mm. Ah! Uh-huh. Mm. All right. I do love the music kicking in like it does. Oh, look at Tendo. Ha! Just the second one. Oh my god. The ray of sunshine. Better than the inner high court qualifiers. Oh my god, yeah. Mm. Oh, the guts from that one part of season 4. Ooh, nice. Nice, nice. Oh, Kimba, what have you realized? Uh. Hmm. Kimma, what you got planned? That one kid looks like a tiny, like if Shoyo and Oikawa had a love child. That's what that one kid looks like. Ah. Ooh. Ah. Oh, these kids. Uh-huh. Very. Uh-huh. Ah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Good on you, Nishinoya, for catching it. Ooh. Ah. Yes. Shoyo loves to fly. Right. Look at Kuro. He looks so satisfied. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Right. It's very much like Tsukishima, right? It's like the idea of all these little things adding up. Uh-huh. 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 Yeah! There it is. Ah! The end! Oh. Baby Kimba and Kuro. Oh. Beating a game more than getting a game over. I hate having the game end more than losing it. Yes! Oh. Oh. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I like the vignette where it's getting like closing in. Ah. But then is everybody gonna make up for it? Oh. 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 Hmm. It is Lev. Lev's arms are so long and huge. Oh. Oh, Lev. Oh. 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 Oh, I like the fizzle. Oh my god. How could you, animation? How dare you? How dare you? That little falter there. Oh, I love the fizzle. Oh. Oh. Hmm. 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 So what we're gonna do? Oh, poor Yachi just standing there. Oh, Suga! Okay, so Suga's took Kageyama's place. Or no, Suga's in there with Kageyama and them. Oh, love. Love! Yes! Ah! Oh. Oh! Sweetheart! Oh, Shoyo. Ah! Oh, ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, damn. Oh. Okay. Oh, that barely got in. Oh, show you helping them clean it up. Hmm. He doesn't want it to end. Yeah, he wants to keep going. Uh-huh, right, right. Such a pain. Oh. Hmm. Right, what you gonna do about it, Kageyama? Damn. The antagonist of the series, right? Suga, you are a spoonful of sugar. Don't you even talk shit about Suga. Don't you talk shit. Or Hinata, yeah. Uh-huh. I thought they were talking about Suga for a second, but yeah, Hinata. Hmm. Right? This movie is really Shoyo versus Kinma. It really is. Which is such a fun thing that you have two setters against a setter and a hitter against one another. Right? Ugh. Oh, now I know why they have Yuki Kaji play him. Nah, bitch. Shoyo's like, I'm firing at 120% all the time. Right. Oh, that face! Kageyama's like, there we go. There we go. Don't give up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes. Oh. Oh. Yep. Uh-huh. That's exactly what Shoyo wants. Right. Yes. Uh-huh. This is exactly what he wants. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Oh. Mm-hmm. Oh. Oh, the blood on the the burn on the arms from the blood rising to the surface. Yeah. Oh my god. Yes, it appears so. Oh, Bokuno. Oh, that was okay. Aw. Aw. I'm complimenting you, and Kageyama's like, I don't know how to deal with it. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! The little cat mouth! The little cat mouth! Oh. Oh, that was so close. Oh, Inuka! Him! Him! I love Kinma as a mage. Yeah! They have so much energy! Suga losing his mind during this match is so fun. I love Suga. Right. Okay. Oh, nice. Let Daichi get in there. Let him get in there and get some receives. Oh, oh, oh. Oh. Oh, there we go. He's like, yes, please. Oh. There we go. Yes, the clip. I was going to say, did we learn something from Inarizaki? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Oh, Suki! I love Suki taking Kuro's like touch call. Everybody's synchronizing their attacks. Oh, 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 oh. 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 See, we should have spent more time on that moment. That was such a big moment in the manga, and we just flew through it. Should have spent more time on it. I have no idea myself! Yeah, no, Suki's like, don't ask me. I've been avoiding him this whole time. Mm. Last set. Mm. Mm. Well, he just made it so he could. A pair of Oni. Oh, Lev. Oh my god. What? Kuro! What? The hell are you talking about? Yaku. Make a big play. Yeah. Don't nod out loud! Ah! Oh. Oh, Tora. Kuro being a team captain. Look at him. I love Kuro is so on it. Yes. That's why he's the captain. Mm. Oh. Oh. No. Like, come on, just ship him already. Oh, no! I was doomed the second I fell for his flattery. Oh my god. They are a pair. Do not separate. Oh. 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 Kuro! What a sweetheart. Oh. Oh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh. Oh. I love it. Oh. Baby Kuro is the most adorable. Right? I am so like Sure. Oh. 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 They're just such a perfect pair. Shut up. Oh. Well, you've sold me on this. What a huge liar. Yeah. Oh my god. Is Adam playing Kinma's dad? Is Zeke playing Aaron's dad? No, do not separate. These two are... I take it back. You can ship Suki with Kuro, but Kinma and Kuro... Mm. But, come on now. Oh! Oh my god! Lev doing the push-ups with Yaku on him. Again, ship central. Harbor, leaving. Oh my god. Kim was like, okay. Oh my god. Oh my god, Shoyo just jumping all over the place. Oh my god. All right. Let's do it. Oh. Yeah, these two are so similar. Mm. There we go, Yaku. Oh, I like to hit the little backboard there. Mm-hmm. We just gotta get every little reminder in there from the previous seasons. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Suki's come so far! So far since season 1. Alright. Oh. Mm-hmm. Ha! Ha! Suki is definitely the type to get mad when he's tired. Absolutely. Huh. Uh. Hmm. Mm. Uh. Mm. Hmm. Blook. Yeah. And we saw that absolutely come into play against Shiratorizawa. Aww. Yeah. Suki's like, well, thank you for the compliment. Oh. Oh. Ooh. Okay. Ooh. Okay. All right. Get it. All right. Oh. Ah. Oh. Oh, nice. Nice. Give us more Suki smiles. We need that. Sounds so much higher pitch there. Ooh. That was close. Ooh. Oh, oh, oh shit. Oh. 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 Oh, Kenma. Oh. Oh, Kenma. Oh. Hi. Hi, Kenma. Oh, that face. Again, Yuki Kaji. I know why you're playing him. If Eren Yeager was a sports anime character, he would be Kenma. Yes! We're just friends. Yes. Mm. I've never shipped Kinma and Shoyo. I really like them as platonic friends. I know some people ship Kenya and Shoyo, and I totally get it. I see it. But I just love them as the definition of, like, friend rivals. Tamahiko. Yep. No, he's in the game today. He's in it today. Oh, that's an interesting serve. Oh. No! Oh, Yaku! Oh. 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 And then you perfect it here. Yeah, yes. Oh. Nice. Uh-huh. Oh, Kenma! Oh, Kenma! Oh! 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 Ah! Yes! Oh, I love it. Oh, oh. Will make you guys desperate. Mm. Oh, of course Kuro's the first one. Yeah! He's more cheering for Kenma having fun than he is making the score. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, Kenma, sweetheart. Oh, look at that. Look at that look. Oh. He's okay with the dying part. I love how Yaku looks at that moment like, yeah, it checks out. That often in volleyball. Clearly you've not seen Daichi. Not that often, just once or twice. Also, oh my god, Fuku. Ah. Oh. Uh-huh. Yes. Ah. Yes. Uh-huh. Oh. 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 Oh, and the sounds of him gasping for breath. Oh. Oh, I love it. It replaces all the sound. Oh. Oh. Oh, I love it. Nice. Nice. Oh, it's kind of daunting to see it portrayed in this way. Oh my god. Oh, oh. 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 Oh, it's dizzying. Oh. Oh. I wanted to see his face from the manga though when he tells Lev to not let the ball drop yet. I'm very torn on this perspective. It's kind of cool, but we'll talk about it in the discussion. There were so many good panels from this moment in the manga that they just aren't even showing, and I'm like, but why? That part was so good. And I like the first person perspective and how dizzying it is, but at the same time, it feels like kind of a, I don't want to say cheap animation moment, but kind of. Oh, 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 oh. Sweat made a ball slip. See, that felt so anticlimactic. Oh no! I wish they'd re-show it with the manga parts. And that's the game, see? That's the game. Oh. Oh. Oh, Kenma. Ah! Everybody's like just... Mm. Oh. 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 These two do not separate. Mm. Oh. Oh. You jerk. Oh. Show quit. Well, we would, if we would have taken a little more time in this, we would have gotten to have felt that a little bit more for you, but... Mm. Uh. Oh. Ah, everybody's just like the polite clap. Tendo. Ha! I wish that Ushijima would have shown up in this. That would have been the best. And our two captains. Oh. Right? Oh, Suki. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Ah. Oh. Ah, that part. Yes. Oh. They should have superimposed him over Ukai in that moment. Ugh. Mm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Oh. 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 Oh, and them helping Yaku again. Yeah. Oh. Is that Tachiyama up there? Ah! He stole his thunder! Ah! This is our story, Kageyama. Yes. Aww. Oh, is that it? How long these credits be? That's not even an hour and a half. How long these credits be? What? What? What are you going to show us? You better show us some stuff through these credits. Oh, there has to be something at the end of the credits. I'm sorry, we're going to skip ahead. Sorry, we're skipping ahead. We're getting to the end because I want to see what's post-credits. There has to be something else. You got like 7 minutes left. Uh-huh. And there was the Tachiyama. Oh! Ah! Oh my god. Oh. Hmm. Ah! Ah! Send the girlfriend away. Oh, true. True. Oh. Oh. Well, true. I mean, I think I know one person that believes they're going to win, for sure. Right. I love Daisho. Yes! 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 Love it. Ah! Don't mind me! I'm totally a good boyfriend. I'm not a jerk. Oh my god. He's hilarious. He's like, I get it. I'm like that with Kinma. It's fine. And the girls' teams. I mean, who gets obsessed with winning? Yes. And that would be Shoyo. Yeah. Oh, oh, Hoshimi. Oh, sweetheart. Seagull boy. Seagull boy. I know. Kamamedai. In the quarterfinals. Oh my god. Yeah! Hmm. The little giant. Uh-huh. Yes! Oh my god. Is that it? Really? Oh! Oh, that feels like it was so. Why does it say it was only an hour and something? Well, I skipped it. Oh, I skipped the end credits. That would be why. That would be why. Oh my gosh. So let's talk about this. Do you want to know my honest opinion? Okay. I'm going to be fair because I'm a manga reader. And when you start out with the source material, you do have high expectations. This is why a lot of times when I start a series, I will start with the anime first, and then if I want to go back to the manga, I will. And I do this for a very strategic reason, because usually I feel like if you start out with the adaptation and then you find out the source material's even better, you're like, oh, amazing. This just is cherries on top of the cake. But when you start out with the source material, and of course my dog's gonna be silly, when you start out with the source material and then you go to the adaptation, and if the adaptation is lacking from the source material, then it's going to be frustrating and you're going to be kind of pissed off and be like, well, what? So this movie didn't make me mad. I feel like a parent when I'm saying this. I'm not mad, but I am kind of disappointed. And I'm going to talk about the great things first, because I feel like if you came into this movie as an anime only, you probably loved this movie. You probably really enjoyed it. You probably were like, oh, this is so fast paced and everything and great. But if you are a manga reader, you probably did not enjoy this movie. And I think what this movie represents is what's so frustrating to me, I think, the most. Because, again, this was 31 chapters basically shoved into 5 episodes of a series. If you think about the Shiratorizawa match, which was 42 chapters over 10 episodes, this is basically taking 3/4 of that amount of chapters and putting it in half the amount. And what that means is that they've cut a lot of stuff out. And they've cut a lot out of this movie. And the stuff that they didn't cut, I'm going to argue, was really rushed and wasn't given its flowers. But to the credit of those that watched this movie and were just gagged over it, I get it, because Haikyuu does have that effect. Haikyuu is really, really powerful. It's such a strong anime. I love it so much. It invokes all these emotions. I don't know how you could be crying, though, because the movie doesn't give you time to build up emotion. Honestly, I'm sure some people were like, I sobbed my eyes out watching it. I'm like, the show, because they're trying to cram so much in at once, they don't have any time to let these emotions settle for you and let you as the audience member really get a sense of the moment and how impactful it is. And I could see that towards the end there is one moment with Kinma and how that moment is portrayed. Not the first person point of view. We'll talk about that moment. That moment kind of made me mad. But the moment where he's on the ground and he's just like, and you see him and Kuro and the flashbacks of them as kids, like that moment built up the emotion really well. So I want to talk about the positives first before diving into my manga glasses view of the movie. The positives is that the animation was fine. It gets a little artistic towards the last rally, which was good. We'll talk about that in more detail. my one frustration is this was for the cinema. It was for the movie theater. And I didn't see this in the movie theater. So maybe you all, when you saw it in the movie theater, were like, oh, but I'm going to make a comparison. And I'm going to compare it to like Demon Slayer, Mugen Train, Jujutsu Kaisen, the movie. Those, because they were developed for a movie theater audience, the quality of the animation was top notch. Even when you saw it on the streaming screen on your TV or your computer screen at home or your phone, you could just see the quality of the cinematography, the quality of the animation. And to this movie's credit, the cinematography is very smooth. It's very fast. It's very clean. I thought the cinematography was really good in this movie, but the quality of the animation, it just felt like a made for TV movie. It just felt like a TV season. Like the quality, like the shading and the lighting, there wasn't anything special done. There wasn't any special tricks to make it look like cinematic. It didn't look like something that I would see on the big screen. This looked like it was made for streaming and they just released it like it was a TV season. And that's fine, but if you're going to put something up to be on a movie level, you need to up the quality of the animation. And I don't think the quality of the animation was any better than a TV season. And that was kind of a disappointment to me because I'm like, you mean to tell me Gasp, the animation studio, cut corners so that they didn't have to produce an entire TV season because it's more profitable to do an hour and 20-minute movie than it is for a 300-minute TV series? Like, what? I'm no mathematician, but one of the things I dislike most about this movie is that I think the part that frustrates me most is that so many people praise this movie that I've seen on the internet being like, oh my God, I cried. It's so amazing. I'm like, you're just giving support to the studios that instead of adapting something and giving it the full flowers that it deserves, they can just make a quick cash grab and just pluck it out there. And they know you'll go see it because otherwise you won't have the opportunity. And I feel like I should protest this and be like, no, this is not how it should be because and the problem is it's like, will people go and read the manga and see what they were missing out on? I don't know. I don't know if the long run, I wonder how Furodate feels about it. I'm sure they're just like, I'm glad my stuff's getting adapted. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm sure Furodate is kind of like, oh, you cut that out? Oh, I worked real hard on that part of the story, but okay, sure. You know, and we'll talk about all that's cut out because there's a lot cut out. You wouldn't think that there's a lot cut out, but there's quite a bit that they just left out of the series, of the movie that are in these chapters. But to its credit, I think it is clean animation. The spirit of everyone is there. It is fast paced and it just keeps going. This was something that I felt, I'm going to sound really old when I say this, and I don't want to be condescending when I say this, but this felt like a movie made for the TikTok generation. Like, oh, we can't spend time fleshing out these moments and having them have breath and air. We just have to keep going because our attention span is so small. We have to keep going. We can't focus on it. We got to keep on going because the attention span's going to run out. So let's just get it over with in an hour and 17 minutes. And I'm like, but the heart of Haikyuu is spinning those moments and letting that, like the ball dropping, like the end of the Arizaki match where the ball just boop drops and it's so cinematic and it's so epic and everything. This movie didn't have the epicness of it. It just felt so fast and it felt like it was missing the heart that gives Haikyuu what I love. And I think it's just because they didn't have time to sit there and let it sink in. They just had to hurry up and get the match over with to film the thing. And I'll be honest with y'all, this is, of all of the matches in Haikyuu, one of my least favorite matches. Not because it's bad. No, the match itself is great. The only reason it's why it's low on my list is because as a manga reader, by this point in the manga, I knew that Krasno was going to win. I knew Krasno was going to win. They just came off that big match with Inarizaki where you didn't know if they were going to win or not. And you were like, and then they won. And then you've been hyping up Hoshiumi from Kamomedai so much that you're like, okay, well, they got to get to Kamomedai. They've got to get to that match because we've been hyping up Hoshiumi this entire time. We're talking about Itachiyama. We're talking about all of that. Like we have these teams that we haven't faced yet. and that must mean that we get to them. So when we got to this, it was like, okay, we knew foreshadowing wise from the start of the series that Nekoma and Krasno were going to face each other. We knew that was going to happen. And so when it got to this point in the manga, we were like, okay, this match is going to happen. We know Krasno's going to win, but what made this match so engaging and what the movie does do right is the focus on Kinma and the idea that Kinma, starting out as somebody that's a little bit apathetic towards being competitive, and they're just like, I'm just playing volleyball. I don't really feel one way or another, but I'll still play it, whatever. The fact that Kinma felt so kind of disengaged at the start of the movie, and then as it progresses you see no, he does care and he gets competitive and he finds volleyball fun, and this movie shows that. I thought the movie did a really good job focusing on Kinma. The problem is, in the manga, Kinma is not the only focal point, and the movie, because it's in a movie format and not in a TV series, it has to choose where its focal point is. And in a movie, you can't go 12 different directions. In a TV show, you can, because it's episodic, and you can spend one episode on this character, and one episode on that character, and one episode on this character. And that's the great thing about the TV series of Haikyuu, is that the series does that. Like, one episode could be Tanaka focused, and one episode can be Kageyama focused. And you get a sense of those characters. In this movie, you're really only focusing on Kinma and Shoyo. That's pretty much who you're focusing on. There's a little dabble with Suki, a little dabble with Kuro, but that's all you get. And if Kinma and Shoyo are your favorite characters, then you're going to be really pleased. But if you're a manga reader and you know that Furudate does such a good job of giving each of these characters their moments, then you're going to be disappointed with this movie because those moments aren't there. And they're brushed over. Like the whole thing with Yamaguchi, for example, Yamaguchi and Suki in the manga, that's a whole thing. Like, they go into a whole thing about Suki and Yamaguchi's relationship and how it's developed and how it's gotten better, and that's a whole thing in this, and they just brushed that on by. They were just like, all right, Suki, one more time. All right, Yamaguchi, one more time. Okay, we're good. Let's go to the next thing. They just glossed right over it, and I was like, that was a whole thing, and you just brushed by it? There's a whole shot of Nishinoya where he does a foot save in the manga that's amazing, and one of my favorite moments in the match. They cut that out. That's not there. All of the scenes where Suki, because you've built up this relationship with Tsukishima and Kuro and Bokuto, the manga focuses so much on those three and their dynamic. That's why it's so important that Akashi and Bokuto are commentators during this, kind of like what Oikawa and Iwaizumi were during the Shiratorizawa match. In the manga, Bokuto and Akashi are waiting around because, spoiler alert, their match is right up next after this. But they're sitting around waiting for their match, and they're watching the game, and Bokuto has such an investment in Tsukishima's development as a player that him and Akashi have a lot of fun banter about Tsukishima, and they kept the highlights in the movie, but they didn't let the jokes land. They just glossed over them. Like the whole thing of it being our Suki is something that's played up in the manga, and it's really cute. But all the moments of Tsukishima being like him smiling at Kuro and being like, yes, actually, I do like volleyball. Like, that's such a big moment in the manga, and I just kept picturing throughout this entire movie, I kept thinking, man, if this had been an episode, we could have had an episode about Kuro and Tsukishima. We could have had an episode about this, and it would have made those moments shine so much. But if our audience's attention span isn't that good, then I guess we just got to keep going through it. I just kept thinking throughout this movie that Mugen Train was a 90-minute movie covering 8 chapters of a manga. 8 chapters. And you crammed 31 chapters into less than 90 minutes for this? I think that says something. And we're going to talk about it. I'm not going to get into spoilers beyond this first, but I want to talk about the stuff that was left out. And then after that, we'll talk about the spoilers, the things like that. I will say, my favorite parts of this entire movie were the bits with Kinma towards the end, because the animation was really good on that. And then the flashback of baby Kinma and kid Kuro. I ship Kinma and Kuro so hard, and seeing that, I've been following someone on Twitter who's an artist that does, and their name is escaping me, and I'm so sorry. It starts with an M, but they do a lot of Kuro and Kinma fan art, and they've been doing a lot of them as kids and their little relationship. I'm like, yes, I just Kuro as a kid, Kuro is such a good character, and I love that he kind of gets his flowers in the flashback of showing me as this hyper little kid that loves volleyball and dragging Kinma along. But even the stuff like with Kinma's parents is expanded on in the manga, that you could see Kinma's mom in the manga. Do you see her in this? They cut her out, but she's in the manga. There's more to do with the parents. There's more with the flashbacks. I honestly, in the manga, there is a lot with the Kuro and Kinma flashbacks and them as kids, and it builds up their relationship and how important this match is. And that's kind of one of the biggest faults I have with this movie is the match just seems like something that has to happen for Krasno to keep moving forward. We have to have this. And it's, oh yeah, we're two teams that's the one thing. It comes across in the movie as just two teams that know each other and they battle each other at a training camp. There is so much left out of why it's like Kinma just mentions it kind of at the very beginning where he's like, yeah, we were like a team that's lost its edge, but now we're getting it back. That's a whole thing. There's a whole backstory with Nekoma and talking about how they've clawed their way up from the dumpster. The whole concept of the dumpster battle is these two teams that were once like had glory and have kind of become lackluster and are clawing their way back. The entire part with Nekoma's coach and old Grandpa Issei is completely cut out of this movie for the most part. And that's so sad because that's the anchor. Like both of these teams, especially Nekoma's whole thing is their coach has come out of retirement. They just barely mention it in the movie. They're like, oh yeah, he came back 2 years ago out of retirement. No, that's a big deal. He come out of retirement to coach this team and bring it back to its glory. And then his rivalry with Ukai's grandfather is like a whole thing. They've cut it out of the movie. That handshake at the end, like I cried reading the manga when it got to that handshake. And I rarely cry reading something, but I cried at that handshake at the end because they'd set up in the manga how important this matchup was, not just for Krasno versus Nekoma, but for these two coaches, for these two former rivals and their legacies coming together. Like that was the heart of this match. And this movie, because who cares about old people, gutted it. Like just threw it out. And I was so sad about that. I'm like, they didn't even show it. They were like, nope, not going to show it. Cut it out. The kids won't care. And I'm like, that's the heart of the entire match. And it's like, you just gutted the heart of it. And it felt so bad not seeing that. And then the handshake at the end didn't mean anything. They just included it so that the manga people couldn't complain, I guess. But it's like, that was the whole point. Like, just very, very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. So some other things that were left out of the movie, I just, there's some parts that were like, I wrote some of them down because I was like, just thinking off the top of my head. Like there's a moment where Tsukishima is like, if Tsukishima had a master, it was Kuro-san. Couldn't have that moment. There was a lot of other moments that were in this too. Things that were just, oh my gosh. I was trying to think of, there were lots of flashbacks in the movie. And I was kind of frustrated with that because I was like, you've cut so much out. Why put in all these flashbacks of shit we've already seen? Like, no, like you could have done so much better. So I'm like, if it was a TV series, you would expect the flashbacks to be there because it would cut back to the things and you could tie it in. You've got time to do that. In an hour and 17-minute movie, you don't have time to spend 10 minutes of it in flashbacks of stuff we've already seen. And the sad part is they have to put it in there because otherwise, moviegoers will be like, when was this? What was happening? What was going on? Like, the movie doesn't give the animators enough time to flesh everything out like they would in the manga. Like, this whole match could have been a 10-episode season easily, but we didn't do that. They had to rush it. And we'll talk about the second movie. We'll talk about that here in a second, but it was just really sad. So some other things that were missing as well. There was a lot on Kuro that they cut out. Kuro has lots of moments where his leadership is shown, and that's tied back to the flashbacks of Kuro being like so obsessed as a kid with volleyball, but also him developing as a leader and their friendship. It like disregards a big element of Kuro and Kinma's friendship. You know, they meet as neighbors during childhood and that leads to their lifelong years of friendship. But how the two start that bond isn't shown in the movie. It just shows that they're just friends. They live near each other. But what's also interesting is that in the manga, Kuro's an introvert. Like, he has a lot of social anxiety. And him meeting Kinma, who's also an introvert, like, the manga shows them like overcoming their social anxiety as kids and becoming volleyball players and becoming better people. And part of the manga is Kuro showcasing that leadership, and you're like, look how far he's come. And that's why he gets so emotional over Kinma coming that far, because it's a sign of how much they both have grown. And I'm like, you just glossed over most of it. And I was like, no, but why? It was very, very frustrating. And then Kageyama is like, he has some really good scenes in the manga for this match. Like, Kageyama, I was noticing that as we were going. I was like, oh, we're going to focus on Shoyo and Kinma because they're the focal points. We started out with them. We have to book in with them. But Kageyama's just kind of there in this match. He's just there. He's not doing much. In the manga, he does quite a bit. They kind of showed it at the end where Kageyama was like thanking Kinma, and you kind of are sitting there going, why is he stealing Shoyo's thunder? Well, that's because in the manga, Kageyama has all these moments where just as Kinma is trying to outwit Shoyo and cage him into the bird cage, Kageyama is trying to find ways to free Shoyo and try to counter Kinma. And there's all these strategizing going on and back and forths with the group. So there's a lot that they cut out with Kageyama that also shows him caged as well. And it's sort of Shoyo and Kageyama fighting together to get out of the birdcage, even though Hinata is the one in the symbolic birdcage element, which, again, the stuff that they basically just took manga panels and animated them in the moment, like the birdcage shot, I'm like, those were fine. That was okay. It was all right. But I think that part of my problem with it is, like, the animation looks really good. The POV shot, talking about Kinma, it does make it anticlimactic how it ends. And that's something I was really mad at, because even though the whole game, we know that Krasno is going to win, the big part of the game that's so beautiful is that by the last set, both teams are exhausted. The manga shows them drenched in sweat. They've been pushing it their all because they know what's on the line with this match. And they've been just pushing each other to the brink. And it's so beautiful to see because both teams are exhausted. And the POV shot, I'm not going to lie, to be honest with you, it seemed like a cheap way for them not to have to animate. Because all it was backgrounds and some hands and a volleyball. They didn't have to animate. If you go to the manga for that chapter set, which I know that this movie ends with chapter 324, so it's around 320. If you go to chapter 320 around that point, Kinma's expressions, the moment where he tells Lev, it's one of my favorite moments in the whole match, is when he tells Lev, he's like, don't let the ball drop. Like, in that moment, Kinma shouts. He shouts and he gets invested and he's like, stop it, don't drop it. Like, the whole match, he's been like so focused and Kuro's been the one shouting. But in that moment, Kinma is the one to speak out and be like, don't let the ball drop. And everybody's kind of like, oh, they didn't even show that. They just were like, hands. And oh, here's Kinma's voicing, which Yuki Kaji's an amazing voice actor. But I was wanting to see that moment of desperation in Kinma's eyes and how he's like, keep going. Because that's what makes the ball slipping so sad, is that Kinma is like, keep it going. Don't stop. Keep working. And then they're all like in tandem, like giving it their all. And then it finally comes down to Kinma and he slips and the ball drops. And they didn't show that. They were just like, here's this cool first-person POV that we haven't done in Haikyuu, but let's do it because it'll be something stylistically different and all the kids will like it. And I'm like, that just ruined it for me. Like, that whole climax was just null and void because you missed the whole point. Their whole game plan was to make Krasno tire out, and then it backfired. And it's like, I mean, I liked that it was lighthearted because I always viewed this match as lighthearted. It was just kind of like them coming together, but there's so much heart that I felt like this was kind of soulless in a way in terms of that. They just wanted to rush through this match, make a cash grab, and move on. And I'm like, it really seemed like it missed. I appreciate that this movie has been so successful by bringing people together for Haikyuu, which is so important, especially for the franchise. But I feel like the way in which they did it was kind of just soulless and corporate, and which is So yeah, the pacing, for example, it goes by so fast that there were so many moments that get glossed over. And on the one hand, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. On the one hand, I liked the pacing at times because it made the movements very quick. But at other times, after you do that so many times where it's just boop, 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 it sort of becomes forgettable. And some of the really cool saves and receives that Hinata does and things like that, if you don't take the time to really highlight them, and, you know, it can be sort of you blink and you miss it. Like the whole thing with Hachi, or with Yachi and Akashi and Bokuto. In the manga, she kind of starts to be in on the commentary, and her fears and anxieties about the match, Bokuto and Akashi are kind of like comforting her, and they have like this really cool commentary together. They glossed over that because we don't got time. We don't have time. There's like a whole thing where Bokuto comes up and cheers on Daichi and Kuro. Cut that out because not relevant, but it's this really good moment, and it kind of like prefaces the match to come, which we'll talk about that in the spoiler corner of what I think that means. But that part's cut out. There's like a big hug that happens between everybody at the end of the game, because there's this big hug between Asahi and Suga and Daichi, because they're like, oh, we get to go on to the next round. We're not done yet as third years. Cut that out. Don't have that. So I felt like the characters weren't showcased as well as they could have been. And then I get that a lot of it was focusing on Nekoma, which is really good, but it definitely felt like you could get the pattern of the movie. It's like, we're gonna have a 30-minute for set 1, 30-minute for set 2, and then 17 minutes for set 3. It was very clinical and formulaic. And I kind of figured it out by the second set. I'm like, oh, we're an hour in. So and the strategy from the manga was kind of missing. It was just like hitting the ball back and forth. You didn't get a chance to focus on it. There was some animation issues where some of the animation wasn't fluid like it would be in the show. Like the one moment where Hinata, like, he receives the ball and it like is almost, it like comes careening towards him. I was just in that moment thinking, if this had been in a TV show, they would have really focused on that moment, because it's a pretty critical moment in the match. You probably don't even know what I'm talking about because they glossed over it so quickly. But I noticed it. I was like, that was a big manga moment. Like, it had its own page devoted to it. And they just, boop, cut by. And I was like, ah. So I did enjoy the match, but I was really disappointed with how they just rushed through it. And if you're a manga reader, you know what they rushed through, and you know what the anime onlys are missing out on. And it's so sad, because I'm like, y'all are sitting here gushing over this, but it could have been so much better. Like, it's like you were given a piece of sheet cake, but the homemade cake is over here on the side that you could enjoy 1,000 times better. But this is all you know of, so you'll accept it because you don't know any better. Now, I want to talk about spoilers. And I want to talk about spoilers in this, because so if you have not read past this battle or watched past this battle and you're not up for spoilers, then I will say that I was really looking forward to this movie, and I'm glad I watched it, but I don't know if I'd watch it again. And that's the sad thing. I'll probably watch some clips of the flashbacks with Kinma and Kuro. And the last part of it where Kinma's on the ground saying how much fun volleyball is, I'd probably look at that again, and maybe they're just like short attention spans, got to keep going. I don't know. And I don't mean to like insult anybody that's a thing with, but y'all know I record hour-long discussions. I have a TikTok, but I rarely post on it. Because I fear that sort of media is lowering our attention spans, and it's making us less critical as thinkers. We just consume, and that's all we do. And I am kind of anti that. So it is what it is. But if you don't want to hear about spoilers, thank you so much for listening to my rant. It was good in so many places, and I'm glad that at least the quality didn't drop completely. But as a manga reader, I had lots of issues with it, but I'm glad it exists, I guess. At least we have it, right? And I will still love Haikyuu regardless. I still love the source material. I love the manga, and that's why when we talk in the spoiler corners, I will air my thoughts. So if you're not sticking around for the spoiler corner, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, and I'll see y'all again with more reactions. This movie makes me terrified for the rest of the series. It confirms a lot of my fears. Because here's the thing. Here's the math. This movie was covering 31 chapters 293 to 324. There are 78 chapters left of the manga. 78! Over twice as many. They're not going to fit it all in one movie. Nope, that's impossible. Here's the thing, though. Okay, if you break it down. Now, I will say this for the movie. Dear God, I didn't realize watching this how many moments of foreshadowing of the Kamomedai match were in this. And I don't think it was just, I gave the movie a hard time, but I don't think it was just the movie pointing it out. The manga does it too. When you go back and reread the manga, you're like, shit, Furudate was planning this for so long and planted these little moments. Like the moment that Shoyo kind of faltered for a second, I was like, the moment that Fuku is like, don't catch a fever out there. The moment that Kuro's like, well, they better hope that Shoyo keeps his health, because they'll be suffering without him. There's all these moments that are foreshadowing Shoyo getting sick, and they are featured so many times during this movie. And as a manga reader, seeing that on screen was a joy, because I was like, shit, it is being foreshadowed so much. But I feel like if you weren't paying attention, you're going to miss that. And I don't know how that's going to impact later on with the second movie. So here's what they should do. In all honesty. I'm going to point it out to you. I had thoughts before they decided to make a movie out of the Nekama battle. I had thoughts of what they should do. But that's fine. My thoughts originally had been, before they decided they were going to make 2 movies and that was going to be it, my initial thoughts after season 4 was, okay, season 5, 25 episodes, do the Nekama battle, do Fukurodani, and do Kamomedai. It'll be a lot. It'll kind of be like season 4, but you could fit it all in. Or do Nekama and Kamomedai and make Fukurodani an OVA. You could do that. And then the final arc, you could do as a 10-episode series. And that would fit. Would work. You could have season 5, an OVA, and a season 6 that's 10 episodes long and cover the rest of the manga and have plenty of time for all the moments that you want. That would be great. But they decided not to do that because that sounds expensive, and why would we want to do that? So after this movie, I've kind of reevaluated, and my thoughts would be, you have Fukurodani. Fukurodani's match is so good. It's amazing. It's 11 chapters, so it's not very long, but it really is. If you're a Bokudo and Akashi fan, you need that match animated because it's just so good. So I'm like, okay, 11 chapters. They did an OVA with Nekama versus Daisho's team with the snake team, and that was 15 chapters. Just make an OVA of Fukurodani's match. Make a 20-minute OVA, 25-minute OVA, make it 30 if you want to go crazy, and then cover that match and make us happy. A nice 30-minute OVA to cover Fukurodani's match. We will be fine. What that leaves you with is the Kamomedai match, which are, depending on how you look at it, where you start the manga or not, 29 to 31 chapters is the Kamomedai match. And then the final arc is 32 chapters. What they're going to do in the movie is they'll cut Fukurodani out because that's it doesn't really have anything to do with the plot. They'll just chop that. That'll be the first thing to go. If they were going to make a movie out of the Kamomedai match, they can fit it. Sure. And I feel like at the end of that movie is going to be the shot of Shoyo coming out and the "What will you be tomorrow?" the famous quote and him with the scarf. Like that'll be the end of the movie. And then will they ever animate the Brazil mini arc in the final battle? Who knows? Who knows? Depends on how successful the movie is. Making money, I suppose. And then they can make a movie out of the final arc, I guess, and do that. But here's the thing about it. The Kamomedai match is not one of my favorite matches either, but it is a much more, I feel like the Kamehameha match when I was reading the manga, I was like, okay, this one's fine. But then when you get to the whole sickness part of it, then you're like, oh shit. And you get to Higuchi and all that, and you're like, oh shit. Like you have all of that going on. That part was really strong, and that part hits you like a ton of bricks. But I feel like to get those emotional moments in, there's a lot of quiet moments in that match. There's a lot of moments of reflection in that match. If you make it into a fast-paced movie like this, it's going to lose that integrity and that heart that we saw evident in Nekama's movie. And then the final arc has to be a TV series. It just has to be. It can't be a movie. Because I say that because the final arc is not like, there's a plot, sure. There's a thread, sure. But the final arc, the last 32 chapters, there's the Brazil mini arc, which is so good. I love it to pieces. It's one of my favorite arcs in the whole damn series. And I'm like, don't butcher that. It's got my favorite character in it. Don't do that. But it's so good. But you can't speed run through that because it's part of Shoyo's growth. It's so integral to the plot. And then the final match, per se, chapter 402 could be an OVA in itself. It really could be. But you can make a whole episode out of it. But the final match is not really a streamlined through thread. It's kind of a big coming together of all these characters. And it has like episodic focus on each character. So you almost need it to be like a 10 episode match where you have like an episode focusing on Sakusa, an episode focusing on Tsukasa. Oh my God. Itachiyama, setter. Oh my God. Nope. Hitter. What am I doing with my life? Atsumu and Sakusa. Thank you. You need a whole episode focusing on him and Ushijima. You need a whole episode focusing on Atsumu. You need a whole episode focusing on Bokudo. Like, there's the final match, a whole episode focusing on Kageyama. And his backstory. I can't imagine them rushing that. Like, you need that final match to be like a 10 or 12. Make it a 12 to 13 episode series. You can have the Brazil mini arc in 2 episodes and then 10 episodes for the final match. Do that. And you could cover the whole thing and give it the justice that it deserves, and then have an ending OVA for chapter 402. Boom, done. You could do it. But I feel like the final movie is just going to be Kamehameha, and you can rush that and cram it all in, but it's not going to have the emotional impact that the TV series would. And it feels like a cheap cash grab because movies don't require as much work. They can get done a lot more fast and make you quick money than a TV series. But it feels like such a waste. And so I don't have high hopes for the final movie. I feel like there's no way they're going to be able to put in Fukurodani and the final arc and be remotely satisfying pacing wise. It's just going to be the Kamehameha match, and then maybe they'll never. I don't want them to not. The final match in the Brazil arc is my favorite part of the whole damn series. And the fact that they're probably not going to animate it, or if they do, they're going to rush right past it like as an epilogue, sucks and makes me pissed. So I don't know. The math says you can make a movie out of Kamehameha if you can make a movie out of this. You're just going to cut a lot and skewer the heart out of it, but it'll still be there, I guess. But I need an OVA of Fukurodani. I need a 12, 13 episode final season with the Brazil mini arc and the final match. And that 13th episode could be chapter 402. I need that. And I fear that the studio is going to value profit over the integrity of a series. And that's really sad to see a series that's as good as Haikyuu get that treatment. So I just am speaking as a concerned fan, but man, they laid the foreshadowing on thick. Even the sisters, like Lev's sister and Tora's sister, they had like a whole arc that was completely left out. Didn't have time for it. Just, there's lots of little moments that in the movie, if you were like, oh, that seems kind of out of place. Well, it's because it had a lot more to it. Like the one pinch hitter that comes in that one thing and kind of laments not being able to do more. Yeah, he laments not being able to do more because he had a whole arc in the manga and they just ripped it out. So I feel like this movie dabbled in the highlights and just quickly glossed over the highlights, and it was all like, shba, shba, shba. And if you didn't know any better, you probably would have thought, oh, that was fun. That was great. But if you're a manga reader and you know how much they cut out, then it was probably very, very frustrating. And it was very, very frustrating for me. So I'm glad I have my shirt. I'm glad I finally got to see it and I can cross it off my list. But I don't know if I will revisit this movie, whereas I revisit season 3 a lot when I get time, and I revisit the final match of season 2 a lot, and I even revisit the final moments of season 4. Not as much because of the pacing and because of what they cut out. So I feel like the first 3 seasons of Haikyuu have so much heart and dedication to them, and they just come across as being so taken care of with the source material. Even the parts that they changed in those first 3 seasons, and they did change some parts of it, but it was minimal and it made sense. And then season 4 was kind of like when they crammed 85 chapters into 25 episodes was the first time I went, ooh, we're trying to cut corners. And then here we cut corners even more. And it was like, ugh. So yeah. I don't want to say, I'm not sad that I watched it, but I definitely am going to hope that the final movie, I don't know how it's going to go, but I'll probably end up watching it when it comes to streaming, but I want to almost kind of boycott. I know. I almost want to kind of boycott the theater experience because I'm like, I don't want to support corporations doing this. Plus, I don't have any theaters near me that show it, so I have to wait for streaming. So anyway, I'm not saying don't support the final movie because it's already under production, but I would be writing the studios and being like, please make an OVA of Fukurodani, or please make the final match in the Brazil arc a 12 to 13 episode TV series. Please give it the time and dedication that it deserves. Don't just shove it off to a movie because it's a quick cash grab and completely miss out on the fans and their support. So it is what it is. But in any case, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more reactions.